Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to Language Matters, the podcast where we talk about something we all use every single day, but rarely stop to think about language. I'm your host, Dr. Dodo Khan, and today I have something very special with me, someone very special with me. She is a PhD scholar. She is passionate about the Sindhi language, and honestly, after talking to her about her research, I think you will be never look at a classroom the same way again. Mumal, welcome.
Thank you so much. Walaikum assalam, Dr. Dodo Khan. I'm really excited to be here and little nervous, not gonna lie.
Don't be nervous. We will all friends here. So, Mumal, before we get into the research, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
Okay, sure. So I'm a PhD scholar registered with the Department of English Language and Literature, DEL, at Government College, University, Hyderabad. My supervisor is Professor Dr. Liaquat Channa, who is honestly one of the most inspiring academics I've ever met. And my research is all about language, especially what happens to Sindhi language inside classroom, right here in Sindh, right under our noses.
Okay, so I already have so many questions. Let's get into it. Our first segment, segment two, the problem, what's happening in Sindh. So, Mumal, let's start with the basics. Why Sindhi? I mean, we all speak Sindhi at home, right? Right? Why is this your research problem?
That's exactly the right question to start with. Okay, yes. So most of us speak Sindhi at home, right? It's our mother tongue. It's the language of our culture, our poetry, our identity. But the moment we walk into a classroom, a college or a university, what happens?
I mean, we switch to Urdu or English.
Yeah, exactly. And that switch, it's not any innocent switch. It carries a message, and that message is that Sindhi doesn't belong here.
Okay, so I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so you should think about it this way. When a student raises her hand in classroom and she wants to explain something, and she can explain it perfectly in Sindhi, but her teacher says, try in Urdu or English. Why? What is that student learning? Not just the subject. She's learning that her language, the language in which she thinks, the language in which she dreams, it's not good enough for the formal education.
That's actually quite painful when you put it in that way.
Yeah, it is. And it's happening every single day in classroom across Sindh. That's why my research is investigating the actual real life conversation between the teachers and the students and how those conversations either include or exclude Sindhi speakers.
And this is happening at a real college, like you already went or observed.
Yes, I conducted my research at Government Girls College here, the Degree College, Kasmabad, in Hyderabad. 6 classroom sessions, 6 weeks, about 42 students and 3 teachers. I recorded everything with their consent, of course, and I analyzed what was really going on.
Okay, so let's move to our segment three, the research. What did you find? Okay, so what did you actually find and what's happening in those classrooms?
Great. So the pattern that came out was very clearly is what researchers call a linguistics hierarchy. Uh, yeah, I think you are familiar with the word hierarchy. So think of it like a language ranking system. At the top, the English, like the folds, okay, on the top, the English, very prestigious, very academic, used for technical terms. Below that is Urdu, the main language of instruction, explanation, most of teaching, and the bottom is Sindhi. The bottom in Sindhi.
The bottom in Sindhi. What does it mean?
Yeah, yeah. In Sindhi only appears in informal moments, like when a student is really struggling and the teacher quickly clarifies something. अरे मतलब ये है, you know, but then immediately switches back Sindhi, never gets to explain a fully conceptual meaning, right? Never gets to carry a formal idea, and that is deeply problematic.
What does that mean for a student?
Yeah, it means that the students who are more comfortable in Urdu and English, they participate more. They get more speaking terms. Uh, they are involved more. They are more visible. And the students who think in Sindhi, they go quiet. And I want to be clear, it's not because they don't have ideas. It's not because they are less intelligent. It is because the classroom has been set up in a way that doesn't make space for them.
So the silence in the classroom isn't always just shyness.
Yeah, exactly. Silence can be form of exclusion. When a student is quiet because she can't answer in the expected language, that's not her falling, that's the system is falling here.
That is such a powerful way to look at it. And you use what's the term? Like critical discourse analysis for this.
Yes, the CDA, that's new for you. Critical discourse analysis, it's basically a way of looking at language and asking who has the power here? Whose voice is being amplified and who is being silenced? The person who developed the framework I'm using is Norman Fairclough. He says that the language is never just communication. Every conversation is also an act of power.
That is such a powerful. So even a single classroom question, can anyone explain this? Is not just a question.
It's never just a question. It's can anyone explain this in English or in Urdu? And that determines who gets the answer and who sits back.
Okay, so let's move to our fourth segment, the bigger picture, language survival. Let me ask
Right.
you something bigger, Mumal. Um,
Mhm.
is is this just about classroom, or is there any something more at this stake?
There is so much more at this stake. There is where my research connect to something called linguistic sustainability. Think about it like environmental sustainability, right? We talk about protecting forest, protecting species from extinction. Language works the same way. A language needs space to survive. It needs to be used. It needs to be seen in important places. For instance, schools, offices, media, institution. If a language loses, those spaces starts to fade.
And Sindhi is losing those spaces.
Slowly, but factually, yes. And the classroom is one of the most important spaces of all because what happens in classroom spaces shapes what young people believe in valuable is credible and is worth knowing. If Sindhi is never used to explain a scientific concept or to discuss literature or to argue an idea, then an entire generation begins to associate Sindhi only with home, with market, with informal, and once that happens, yeah.
It loses its prestigious.
Yeah, of course. It loses its prestige, and then its speakers start to feel ashamed of using it. And that's how a language dies. Not with a dramatic movement, but with thousands of small silences in classroom.
Hmm. Momal, I have to say, I have worked with language and technology my whole career, and hearing you describe this, I'm realizing the digital and linguistic are deeply concerned. Both are about who get a voice and who doesn't.
Yeah, most of us have lived this, and that's why this research matter. It's not abstract, it's not just academic. This is about our identity, our culture, our collective memory as a people.
Okay, so let's move to our another segment, solution and hope.
Yeah.
I don't want our listeners to leave the feeling hopeless. What does your research suggest we can actually do about this?
That's a great question. And this part is the part I love because the research isn't just about diagnosing the problem, it's about showing where change is possible. The first thing is teachers. The teachers are most powerful agents of change in classroom. If a teacher actively creates space for Sindhi, if she asks a student to explain something in Sindhi and treats that response with the same academic respect as a Urdu or English response, that changes everything. It sends completely a different message.
That's simple.
Yeah, it's that simple and that powerful. The second thing is the policy, the curriculum. We need to change language policies in education that actually include indigenous languages like Sindhi in meaningful instructional roles. Not just as a subject that's taught once a week, but as a living medium of learning.
And curriculum?
Yes, curriculum designers need to reflect Sindhi culture, Sindhi examples, Sindhi voices in the textbook, and Sindhi materials. When students see their own language and culture represented in their education, their sense of belonging and confidence dramatically increases.
So
Right?
it's not about replacing Urdu or English. It's about making room for all three.
Yeah, exactly. It's not either or, it's multilingual inclusion. You can teach Urdu, you can teach English, and you can honor Sindhi all the same time. In fact, research globally shows that students learn better when their mother tongue is part of their language, not less.
Okay, so let's move our last segment, closing. And Mumal, before we wrap up, what would you say to students listening right now and who has felt exactly what you are describing, who has gone quite in classroom because of the language?
I would say your silence was never your failure. The system made it hard for you to speak. But your language, Sindhi or whatever your mother tongue is, carries century of knowledge, of poetry, of wisdom. It is not less, it has never been less. And what I'm trying to do with this research is make system finally understand that.
Genuinely, Mumal, thank you so much for being here today. And this conversation has changed how I think about something I do every single day. And I think it will do the same for our listeners.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Dodo Khan, and thank you for everyone listening. If this conversation made you think about language differently, even just a little, then that's exactly what research should do.
To, to all the listeners, language matters. Remember that. We all see you next time. Khuda Hafiz.
Nafes, thank you.